Welcome to what I'm affectionately going to be calling the Hoya Shit Show Tour.
The greenhouse is in need of major organization and cleaning. Plus, there's a lot of weeds I need to go through and get out. There's a couple of plants that look like they're basically going to be dead, but I'm going to try and save them if possible. And just general maintenance. Looking back at this, it actually looks pretty decent. Busy, but decent. But let's go ahead and look at everything and see what we can do to kind of clean it up. Let's go through each of the Hoyas as I get them out and see what I can do for them. First task is to get everything out of the greenhouse. I do it in the fall so that I have the best weather possible and all the plants can sit outside while I do the work in the greenhouse. I have to meticulously unwrap each of the Hoyas from the other Hoyas as they tend to tendril everywhere. I pull weeds, but slowly one by one they all get taken care of.
So it's getting close. I have cleared up all the space that I can. Some things that are so precious to me, like this little beautiful Hoya, this one, I'm not even going to try and go outside and be protected in the sun while I redo this. But yeah, I still have this front section to do, but everything else is out in the yard. I don't think the yard has looked prettier. Like, it's so, beautiful. This is what you do when you love Hoyas. Oop, also got to protect these guys that are now getting sun over here. So I swapped sides in the greenhouse. I'm putting my 3 species of vanilla orchids over on the left, and then I'm going to have a thing of orchids, and then the Hoyas are going to go here, where it's a little less heat during the day.
Now the good part, let's start looking at each of the plants and seeing what it looks like just in general, or after I trim it and give it an overhaul.
Maybe Dischidia acuminata. I think my favorite view is this view, where you get the light green. This did flower for me already. I just forgot to document the flowers.
Dischidia bengalensis is from South Asia, and man, does it love to twine. It's a little different because its leaves are kind of needle-like, and they appear in pairs along the stems. I've heard this is sometimes called the helicopter plant, but I just don't see it, but kinda. This sucker loves bright light. In really bright light, it gets really pale lime green, and in lower light, it becomes like a darker green. It is best if you allow the soil to dry out slightly between waterings.
I'm just showing this guy because I think he's kind of cool. He showed up in my collection, and I am not sure how. I think maybe he was a cutting in another plant. And right now he looks a little beat up because I overwatered him. So this wants to stay pretty dry in a very humid environment. But when he's very dry, go ahead and water him. And then just let him completely dry out before you do anything. And I'm gonna get blooms on him. Very tiny blooms.
I think Hoya Joy is a great Hoya for both beginners and those that are collectors because it's A, beautiful, B, very hardy and easy to take care of, and then C, stunning. I love the way the red and green mix together. It's been a pretty compact grower and doesn't take up too much space, so that makes it a very desirable Hoya.
Off Lombi.
Oddly enough, I think one of my favorite things about this plant is how it kind of looks like it has a disease. LOL. I just think the red and maroon that it exhibits is so beautiful. I'm not sure what causes some of the splotches, but I noticed that depending on where I put it in the greenhouse, it does look healthier sometimes than others. But this is actually pretty healthy looking when we're twirling it around right here. It's not an aggressive grower, and it does like being a little bit more moist. But it is a pretty stunning Hoya. I just love how rigid the leaves are. And again, I don't see this red in very many Hoyas, so it's a beautiful leaf color. Yeah, I really, really like it.
I see a flower spike.
Hold on. There it is.
There's another off Lombi I'm trying to save.
This guy is mainly green, like he doesn't exhibit as much red, but it's definitely the same species. I do think it's interesting that the color is so different. And yet I have another one that looks different but the same species. So all the same thing, just shows you the variation.
Well, this off rigida is a disaster. It also used to be one of my biggest, and whatever I did to it, it's hating. So it's got to go into the hospital. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to save it, but I will try.
Hoya annulata, what can I say about you besides you're kind of a pain in my ass? You have interesting leaves, like they're pretty veiny and all that, but man, you're a finicky grower. In one greenhouse, you're doing amazing. In another greenhouse, you're doing really poor. I know you don't like a lot of water, but you also don't like too little water. So right now, you're looking pretty good. I got the flowers. Yes. Pretty.
Here's an example of one of the Hoyas gone wild. This one just takes up too much room. I have to give it a haircut. It's also been in the sun quite a bit, as you could tell. During the cleaning process, this was accidentally left outside and it was in the shade, but a few of the leaves were left in the sun. Yeah. Not happy about that, but not very many. I'm not going to show too much of this only because I am so embarrassed of what a bad plant dad I am. It's in terrible condition. I don't know if it's being picked up by the camera, but man, this has gorgeous leaves for being a little bit more common of a Hoya, and I just didn't do it justice. So I'm going to put it in here. Let's hang you here. And let's hope you get better really fast. Here's a somewhat better version. I have a few. These leaves are much healthier and better. I'll get the other one in shape again, but
The Lisa cultivar of this is a pretty hardy grower. I mean, she took off when she was rooted and blooming not shortly after. I probably rooted this from a small cutting, and then this is 8 months after I got the plants and blooming. But look at the variegation, just awesome. I'd say it's a little bit more common of a Hoya, but should be in every collection because it's just really a charming plant. And if it is still this hardy in some of the same conditions that the other Hoyas are not loving, then it's a keeper. And this will probably stay in my collection because I like all of the different color greens that are in each leaf, along with it. I mean, there's a lot of white in there. That's really cool. And I have kept her in both complete and utter darkness in the greenhouse and pretty bright light, and responds well to both. So it's a winner. Hoya Brahmanica is cool just because the way the leaves feel. They're like velvety, almost like a lamb's ear. And talk about a gorgeous bloom. I'm getting this sort of like yellow and red combination out of it. Didn't have a scent, but I mean, it's pretty shocking flower. I love that color, along with the pale green velvety leaves. Makes this one a pretty good Hoya to grow. I did notice it responds better to the dry side, so don't keep this one too moist. But I mean, it's blooming like mad for me. So in the same conditions that other Hoyas were just like, this one is easier to grow. So I would say this is a good one for anyone to try, both beginners and collectors. Well, collectors probably already have it, but you get my drift. Yeah, it's just really, really, really pretty.
Hoya calliciphylla. Now this one can be tricky to grow. Get away. This is a lighter green because she's getting a little bit more water and a brighter light. I'll try and take a photo or a video of another one who's super dark green and even healthier because she is grown inside, or it is grown inside. So when it is grown inside, it gets really deep green. But in bright light, you get the yellow and the green veining.
And that really is one of the most standout features of this Hoya. The fact that the veining is so pronounced, and then that lime green, sometimes almost like a lemon lime yellow, is beautiful. And then this one, see how the veining is a little bit darker, and even the inside of the leaf gets a little bit darker green. It can even get darker than this. But lighting is the key factor here. So the lower the light, the darker the greens. Hoya carnosa Crimson Queen. That's probably what it should look like a little bit more than this white one. This one's weird. It's a more common Hoya, but it is just finicky for me. Sometimes it loves the abuse. When I don't take care of it, it just grows and grows and grows. Other times when I don't take care of it, it sulks. But usually when you have leaves that are that white, you probably need to make some sort of change. The thing is, I could have two growing side by side in the same exact conditions and they're acting differently. They're in the same soil and everything else. So sometimes it's just, nothing you can do about it. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't look that bad, but it went downhill after this. I think I'm able to save it though, but yeah, a little bit of a challenge. For an easy Hoya. Hoya carnosa crinklate is a great Hoya for anyone. Pretty plain Jane, pretty simple, but really cute pink flowers. Thing is, it's very vigorous. So when you plant this, give it a lot of room. It is going to grow like mad, whether it's in the house or in a greenhouse. Can't go wrong. Very simple, basic, robust Hoya. And when it comes to plants I love, that's Hoya caudata Sumatra. There is just something about these leaves I can't even describe the color. Well, here, take a look at it. The texture of the leaves are awesome. The color of the leaves are awesome. The shape, the speckling, the viningness. Most vining plants are starting to get on my nerves because of how they take over, but this one does not do anything wrong. It is a bit more finicky. It needs higher humidity and a little bit more water, but stunning. I mean, I like the way when I'm taking it here how it looks against some of the other Hoyas. So it's a winner, but even though it's more challenging, I think you should try and give it a grow because it's worth it in many different ways. Right now, it's shingling all down in one spot. If I were to take the time and move some of these, then I could get it to be more of a basket-like shape, and that's probably what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to cut off a lot of these and root them. But look at those speckles. Oh my God. And then you get the light leaves right next to the dark leaves. And then you just get, each leaf is a little bit of a different color. And then you have the backside of the leaves, which are like this maroon, while the front's green. I mean, it's crazy. And it does have very pretty flowers as well. So nothing says love like when they're all wet as well, because then they give this nice glossy feel. So yeah, I do like this Hoya. Can you tell?
Another caudata. Had him for over a year as well. Has not grown at all. My Hoya Chelsea, which I'm going to definitely save. This was from outside. When I was cleaning the greenhouse, it got exposed to the sun, so all that's coming off. All right, here's my Chelsea. That's what healthy leaves look like. Sun damaged. Sun damaged. Sun damaged. If you're ready for a very vigorous Hoya that is very easy to take care of though, this is for you. You can propagate it like mad. It has a simple pink flower and it's a pretty big, thick Hoya.
Oh, Hoya Chunia, what do I say about you besides... I mean, you're doing okay, right? I can grow you, but you're not easy. You had a massive scale infection, so I had to take care of that and treat you. Some of your leaves look great, and some of your leaves look terrible. I do know you're from Thailand, and therefore you can be a little bit more finicky, but I don't know if you're gonna live or thrive or what you're gonna do, because you're not one of my best performing Hoyas, and I haven't quite figured you out, but right now I let you dry out completely between waterings, and you like a little bit less light. And that's all I'm gonna say right now. I may have already filmed this one, and if I did, then this is extra, and if I didn't, this is my other one. One of my favorites though. And I'm probably gonna have a lot of footage of this Hoya Clementiorum Cavza. Wowza. The leaves, I mean, they gradiate from green to this dark purple, and look at those pronounced veins. They're raised above the leaf, so you can feel the veins. And the splotches have you seen these splotches? They're gorgeous. It needs to dry out, I'll tell you that. It is too wet. I have a lot of these. I have probably like 5 different ones of these from different people, and some respond well to overwatering, some do not respond well to overwatering, so you're just gonna have to test yours. But I mean, look, each leaf, some are orange and green, some are red and green, some look like freaking stained glass with orange and red and greens and yellows and purples. Look at this one. It is splotched, it is pink, it is dark maroon, it looks like some sort of alien skin, and I think if I had to get rid of all of my Hoyas and maybe only keep one, God, it would be hard to choose, but this may be one of them. That is how beautiful I find this little magnificent beast. It's gorgeous. Hoya
clementiorum. This wasn't the red one, but check it out.
Yeah, so this is one of my other ones, and I didn't spray it down for this, and it has all this calcium deposit from the water spot, so just ignore that. This one also has a lot of calcium deposits, but look at that. Look at that leaf. Look at that leaf. In case you're sleeping during this video, wake up, wake up. Look at that leaf. It's awesome. Gorgeous.
I've had this one for a little over 2 years, and it has not grown much and not died much. But man, is it ever one of my favorites.
So also, depending on the leaf color and structure, you can have growth variations. Some grow fast and some don't grow at all. You know, this one, I maybe have one leaf grow in a year, where the other ones are like 50 leaves. So it's going to vary.
Another Hoya clementiorum. Another Hoya clementiorum. This was a little stressed as well, so it's going to go into the shade. I still love it though. I mean, I'm sorry. It's okay when they are stressed as long as they don't die, because the colors they exhibit are out of this world.
And you can see that the cultivars look different.
Has bloomed. I don't know if you can see that there, but the black mold has got to it, so I'm going to spray that off. Get it all cleaned up. There's one that's going to rebloom. Get it down here.
Because there's no way this is the same clementiorum as my dark purple one, but they both came into my collection as clementiorum. So that's what I'm calling them. And the veins do look similar, but there's no way it's a different subspecies or something. But God, they're both stunning.
I don't even see red in this one at all. And it was basically growing in the same spot. So this one was sold as Red Splash. But yeah, check out its brother, Red Splash. I don't think so, my friends. Still a beautiful plant.
But I get cracked up. These are both called red. Well, one's called Red Splash, no red at all. And then the other one wasn't even called red, and it's so red, it's unbelievable. And the other one was just clementiorum, and it's like pale lime green with red veins, whatever. So just look for clementiorum, and not quite sure what you're going to get unless they show you the picture of the exact plant, but you're not going to go wrong with this stunning, stunning beauty. I'm keeping all of these because I think they'll always be with me as long as I can remember to give them good care.
Hoya crassicalis. I'll admit I am not that familiar with this one. I do know that I got it because apparently the bloom, it's kind of cool. It kind of looks like it's candy striped at the beginning before it opens up into like a yellowish color, but then it has a strong, almost fruity fragrance. Apparently at night, but I was hoping during the day as well. It's from the Philippines, and apparently there it's common and treated as a very easy and maintainable house plant. I've had this for over a year, almost 2 years now, and it has not grown. It has been maybe one leaf, and that's it. So manageable, yeah, because you don't do anything to it because it doesn't need anything besides some occasional watering. But yeah, I'm growing it for the bloom, and I'm hoping that I can get it to bloom with just 4 leaves on it, but we'll see. Hey, but if you want something that stays small as kind of a big leaf, then this is the one for you. Hoya Colina Silver. I like this guy because he has a different shape. There are a couple of Hoyas that kind of stand out because they're uniquely shaped compared to some of the other Hoyas you'll see in this like very long video I'm doing. But you know, a lot of them have the same shaped leaves. This one, kind of cool. It's almost like a citrus, I don't know, just dense leaf to it. And I'm hoping that it can be very clumping. I'm gonna cut off some of the tendrils and I'm going to lay it on different sides to see if I can get it to be bushy. What I like about this one the most is that it has been very disease resistant. No matter what I do to it, it's been robust. It can stand some overwatering, some underwatering. And the silver, even though hidden on each leaf, it's there. You just have to go and look for it. So I do like this one. And some of the ones that it's reminding me of go gangbusters. This one has been manageable. Had it for 2 years and it looks like this. So I'm liking it, and I like the kind of leather tough leaves again, so I'll say yes.
Fair warning now, when you get a Hoya, many of them are going to be misspelled. So look up the spelling online, because the way I have it is the correct spelling. This is a small, dainty leaf Hoya, and what I like about it is the red outer margins of the leaves. It's very, very, very cute and wispy, and it's not too aggressive as a grower. So for a small leaf Hoya, it's one of those probably must-haves, because I really like the way the general nature of it is very maintainable. So, you know, some of my other ones get too big. This one I like a lot. Oh, there it is, all dangly. And this is over a year old, and that's how big it is. So slower grower, but cute.
This is Hoya curtisii, and how can you not love this? This is one of the most unique leaves in Hoyas. I can't describe it. Mind-blowing, mind-numbing, all these things that I'm just like, little drool coming out. So I love it's almost greenish gray, blood purple, little cute round leaves. It's a relatively easy grower, but here's the thing. It hates to be overwatered. So I overwater a lot of my plants. If you're one of those people, you're going to want to put this in such a fast draining mix that the plant's probably going to be starving for water sooner than later. Because I've killed a few by overwatering, so it definitely loves high humidity, but keep it on the drier side. And then it is a slow grower, but you can speed up the growth with a good, well-balanced fertilizer. Pretty easy to strike from cuttings too, but what a champ. It is stunning. So this Hoya will always be in my collection because I think it's super cute and just an amazing looking Hoya. You cannot go wrong with this one.
This one is in need of a little rescuing because it had a bad infestation of scale. Ooh, I love the splash. But as you can tell, some of the leaves look a little withered on the back. I just treated, fertilized, so this one is not a problem. This one will recover literally in just a few weeks. One leaf. Major haircut coming, and cuttings will be available. Once it is no scale. I have a love-hate relationship with this. This used to be dark green and lovely and beautiful under the exact same conditions that it is now. Same water, same light, same everything. But now it looks like, oh, actually that's going to be a peduncle right there.
And that's some new growth. But still, why are you not healthy anymore? You make me worried. So will I be taking cuttings of you? Absolutely.
Hoya ingleriana. This is my kind of Hoya because look at it. It is so darn cute and compact and doesn't bush or vine too much. So I like the small leaves and doesn't even look like a typical Hoya. So it's been easy to grow. It didn't mind wet. It didn't mind dry. It's a no fuss so far. So I'm hoping it stays like this. But super cute. Can't wait to see what the blooms look like. But Hoya ingleriana, I say this is a yes. If my memory is correct, I got Hoya glabra red because the leaf color I saw online was a really deep, rich purple. Clearly, that isn't what this is. But some of them are kind of more purple, and it is a pretty sturdy and easy growing Hoya. So I really like that about it. I got to get off some of that black mold, stupid ants and stuff. But it is an easy to grow orchid. The leaves are really thick and durable, and they are still quite attractive, just not the purple like I saw online. And well, there's one that's more purple. So I guess maybe they're getting higher light and therefore more red. But I know that one green leaf was in like the brightest light of all and it stayed green. So can't really explain it. But yeah, nice Hoya, pretty typical Hoya blooms. But if you like big chunky leaves, this is the one you want to go with. If I'm not mistaken, again, just going by my memory, Hoya globulosa can be grown outside in Southern California. So I'm probably going to move it outside because talk about one vigorous Hoya. Where I saw it growing outside, it had taken over like an entire structure. So it can grow very, very big, very, very fast. So you're going to want to give it a lot of space. So then, it gets what it deserves, a big, oh, glorious space. It's kind of a milky, whitish yellow flower that it has, pretty grand. And, these leaves are pretty. Sometimes like a plain Hoya can just be very pretty, and that's what I considered this one to be. Super, super elegant in the simplicity. Hoya galamkoana is cool. I like the structure of this. It reminds me a little bit like Hoya Kamingiana. Like kinda, but not. The leaves are a little bit rounder and maybe, a little bit larger. And the flowers, they're very kind of like a bone white. But what's cool about this one is that it has a really nice fragrance.
Now, before you come at me on this one, is this pot absolutely too big? Yes. Is it overwatered? Yes. Is it still happy? Yes. Am I going to start taking better care of it? Yes. In fact, I just took it at a long strand. See how it's wrapping over? So I took this piece of potting mix and I just loosely placed it over. I'm going to try and get this guy to root so that it will continue into another plant.
I am going to go ahead and give Hoya imperialis a nickname and call it my tree Hoya, because for a vining plant, it stands up pretty much on its own. With these big old splintery leaves too, you think it would fall over, but it doesn't yet. I'm sure it will the more it grows, but
I think this one has magnificent, like, smelling blooms, if I'm not, I don't know, I may be making that up, so I have to go look at it. But I really like that it is a kind of bush tree type Hoya. That in itself makes it super duper unique. This one I've had for a while, and it just won't grow. Not killing it, not making any friends. It's just really a tough one to get started. I think I may have abused it with the spotted sins. I'm hoping it'll like its new home. You will eventually get to a monster like this and just not know what to do. See, unfortunately, it's blooming down here. But it's too big for the greenhouse, too big for itself, just too big. For a more common Hoya, it's quite lovely. Like, look at those leaves. Are you kidding me? And each one seems to be a little bit different from its neighbor, which I love as the backside. And so my 2 bloom clusters actually broke one off in the filming of this. I'm so bummed. But so you have 2. I want to trim it. I want to take off all of this. And unfortunately, I will lose the bloom because of it. But I'm going to wait until after it blooms. But yeah, so when Hoyas are this big, they're just not, they're not ruly, so I can't do anything with them. But it is a beautiful, beautiful Hoya. I cannot stress to you enough how well this plant was doing before this video. It was just like an easy grower, and I think it must have gotten overwatered or something. But it's looking a mess, and there's a chance I'm gonna lose it, so I'm gonna make a bunch of cuttings and see if I can save it. But not truly black, but that's what the leaves should really look like. Hoya croniana is a very simple, nice Hoya with this kind of ruffled leaf look, bushy type growth habit, and just all-around general goodness. Doesn't get too big, it's not a fast grower, it's really manageable, and it is attractive enough. I mean, I kind of like the black better, but I think this one's really cool, and it has, as far as I know, really fragrant flowers. So I like this one. I may be butchering this name, Hoya latifolia biebau. Not going to say that much about it because I don't know that much about it. Besides, I really adore the leaf shape. It's like, you know, I have those big shaped leaf Hoya or those big leaf Hoyas. If I take one of those, which is miniaturize those big ass leaves, that's what they have here. So it's a very cute Hoya that I don't know much about. Besides, had it for over a year and a half and it's still this size. So I think it's given me 2 new leaves. I got it as a 1 leaf node that I rooted myself, and yeah, almost 2 years, and I guess you deserve some sort of reward for just being well behaved for a Hoya. Ooh, I see scale. I'm gonna go get you. Alright, that's it for this one. Come on. Oh, and it smells lovely. Lovely, lovely fragrance. you see how everything's intertwined and tangled, and there's like vines going everywhere? I don't even know how I'm going to get into some of these. Especially when it comes into here and they're all vining all into the roof. As you can see, my watermelon plant is vining literally everywhere in the greenhouse, so that's going to be fun to get him out. Why does that look like there's another Hoya growing in there with you? I don't think that's you. But I will have to check. I think another Hoya hijacked itself in here. There we go. Out and taken care of. Hoya littoralis, well, what can I say? This one was getting overwatered, and thank God I saw that. And so now I'm going to put this into a drier spot. Actually, I'm going to dry out all of my Hoyas completely now until they're all about the same. I like the leaves of this one though. I kind of like the long, slender, very different than any of my others. Look at the backside of that one. Gorge. Very gorge. So not the greatest video of it because it's a little scraggly. I've had it for about 1.5 years. Came, I think, with just like 2 or 3 leaves. So it is growing. But yeah, you're going to stay on the drier side and you're going to get a lot more attention. Hoya lucanosa ruby sue, one of my favorites because the flowers are cute and they smell a lot. Think like the best furniture polish in the world, and that is what this is. Now also, look at the size of her. Look at the size of it. Very substantial. Beautiful. And you can keep it managed. That's most important. So important. This one's a hard one to say. So you know what? I'm not gonna. But the reason you grow this is for the blooms. It's a more difficult Hoya for me, I have to admit. So it's not like the easiest thing in the world to grow, but it has those flowers that are those beautiful, like huge 3-inch cup type flowers in this blood purple. Just, it's a really cool color. So if it's happy, it'll bloom, and you are going to have a Hoya bloom just like you can't even. You just can't. I think it's actually nicknamed the Big Mac to bloom or something. Just really cool. Really, really cool. I would like to make one thing clear. This Hoya macrophylla pot of gold I've had since 2021, and I've done everything right. Literally everything right, and it has rewarded me with zero growth and zero opportunity to see it in the grandness that I have online. It just sits there. So big sigh. Moving on to Hoya macrophylla super red on the other hand. Another one of my favorite Hoyas because of the color that the leaves get when it's under pretty high light. The underside of every leaf is already purplish red and with pronounced veining. But then the top of the leaves can just get this fantastic red that's hard to describe. You have to see it in the proper daylight, but it's almost like an iridescent shimmery red. And then I love the way it gradiates to the green. So I just think that it's a fantastic leaf because of the structure and the setup. Not to mention it has a pretty good bloom. But all in all, an easy grower. I have had no problems no matter whether it's been overwatered or underwatered. It's been a champ. So I would say this is a good Hoya for anyone that wants Hoyas for foliage. Look at that big leaf. If they're all gonna get this big and then turn like that whopper red, that's gonna be worth the wait. And there's the underside. Alright. I guess I'll stop showing this one off. And then we have Hoya macrophylla albomarginata. God, I hate saying these complicated names. They're just like, meh. Anyway, basically, you're going to be having a beautiful green leaf with white margins. And that's what the whole name thing means. Easy grower, didn't care if it was too wet or too dry again. So I think this is a great Hoya for anyone that wants an interesting looking leaf that has some kind of unique characteristics. So I love the pronounced veining, I love the colorization, and I love that it's more of a compact grower with a beautiful bloom. So this one, yeah, everyone should grow this one for sure. Hoya manicurensis. This, I've normally seen green when I was looking at this one online. A lot of people, it's like a green top of the leaf and then a purple bottom of the leaf, but mine is this cool speckled all over, sometimes all the way purple leaf manicurensis. So I'm really digging it because kind of has not that shamrock look, but kind of that cool look. And I haven't I got it to flower once. I'll see if I can find photos of that, but the flowers have these little hairs all over the place, so they're this really cool it's a small flower, but it was kind of like coarse hairs all over. So very cool Hoya. It's been pretty easy to grow, and so I would suggest this for anyone because of the shape, the color, the uniqueness, and the ease of growing. So it's a number one. Here is Matilde, one of mine. I'll show a few. Love the little tiny leaves. Problem with this Hoya is it is sort of a scale magnet. So if you see scales here, don't worry, I just treated it so they will all go away. But yeah, I didn't even see that. Here we have Hoya Morillii, and I'm going to show you two different ones that I have, because this first one is stunning. Talk about a showstopper. And it's gonna bloom. This one's a super easy grower, and it's just blooming without not really doing much to it. Its leaves are really thick. It's a very robust Hoya. I love the red. It looks very sun-stressed, and it's not in the brightest part of the greenhouse even, so it's exhibiting really good traits all throughout. And I would just say it's an easy care Hoya, so if you want something stunning and beautiful without needing, to baby it, then this one's for you. This is kind of a showstopper. I love the veining in the leaves, and I like that it gradients from dark red up at the top to the bottom. Now see, this one is from a different source. There's the little big one, and then this one, the leaves are a little bit different, so they're smaller. It's not as a robust plant, but I can tell it's the same because the leaves look very, very similar. But I don't know, there's just something about it that's coming across as like maybe it's a cultivar or whatever, but it's not a clone of the other one. For one, the nodes are a different length apart. It's just exhibiting different traits, the leaf size, everything about it is weird. So this is what happens in the Hoya world. I have two ones with the exact same name, but they grow and act pretty differently. But that's cool. It also makes the hobby fun because then, you kind of get to collect all of them like toys in a prize box. Anyway, Hoya Morillii. Hoya Minahase, hopefully I'm saying that right. Apparently there's some discrepancy about what exactly the name of this one is, but we'll go with that. I think it's originally from Thailand, and it's an easy grower. Look at the beautiful red leaves right next to the green leaves. So it's just amazing the different type of coloration you can get in the same plant. And then that one has like, the margins are all the red instead of the leaf. So pretty amazing, and it has nice little flowers that are white with the magenta inside, and they smell like citrus. I forget if I've gotten this one to bloom or not, but oh, look at that, it's rooting. I should probably take a cutting and make sure I have a spare of this one. Hoya Minahase. This is Hoya Manateye. I actually don't know a whole lot about it. It's been a pretty simple grower for me. I guess I'm just not blown away by the leaves. I need some sort of like wow factor if I'm going to keep these in my collection. I do like the leaf size. It is monstrous, and I've seen online they turn this beautiful, deep, glossy green. It's an easy grower. For me, some people it's challenging, but you do see that I have leaf burn and some yellowing, so it's not like it's super easy. It's just for some reason it likes the greenhouse. And I got this as a one leaf node, and it's grown quite a bit, so I would say it's happy. It's just like not one of those wow factor ones, although I do like the bloom. The bloom is this cute little white hairy bloom, and I forgot if it has a smell or not. I don't think it does. But anyway, so this is an easy one if you can get your hands on it. This is one of those that unfortunately is dry as a bone, so I'm having a little bit of leaf wilt, but she is in bloom. Does not smell. Once I water, that'll help the very dehydrated leaves. Poor thing. This is what the leaf should look like. But this was in a high stress, high sun, low water environment. So the leaves got a little too sun stressed. As you can tell, some are curling, some are extremely yellow. Sorry about that. I just put on my greenhouse shade fabric, so it will not get this hot or sunny in here anymore. But check this out. Another one forming. No fragrance. That leaf is stunning, right? Hoya rearranged. Since the filming, not only has it become healthier, bum 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 bum. Here, let me hang this so I can. This one has lost its ID, so I can't remember. I think it's a more common one, like a diversifolia or something. But it is just too big. Too big for the. Actually, it looks a little bit like the SP White as well, but I know it's not. So it's a long hanging one, very, very, very heavy, and I need to cut this back. If you can positively ID it, that would be awesome. Let me know. Hoya numeraloides. It's a hard one to say. This one, everyone that I've seen online has a really pretty green leaf shape. Mine turns really deep red in the greenhouse, and I frickin' love it. The name, well, it comes from Southeast Asia, and the name apparently means like coin-shaped or coin-like, so kind of describing the unique small leaves, but I don't really get it. It doesn't look like a coin to me. It just looks like a really cool small leaf Hoya, and I adore small leaf Hoyas. So this one, and it's going to bloom, is a winner for me. Super easy to grow. It is a slower grower, and so that makes it even more of a kind of one that I want to keep in the house because it doesn't get too unruly. So I would say with once a year trimming, you can probably keep this one in a nice, very bushy shape. So it's also not just one single tendril, it's like a bunch of different tendrils, and that's good. So that was my cat, in case you heard that. Alrighty, yeah, this one's I say an A plus. Not much to show here. I've had it for over a year, and I've had stem growth by about an inch, but not much else. So I can't figure out what exactly it needs. So it's not a very exciting one to show. But I will keep it going and see what happens. I have to repot you because you're getting way too much water, although you don't seem to be minding it. And I have to take care of some scale I see all over you. I will be doing that. But nice new growth. I see it in a bunch of places. Awesome. Odorata. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that odorata probably means it's gonna smell, and it does. It has a very, very strong, sweet fragrance from, I believe it's white flowers. So it's one of those where it is pretty and you get a smell out of it. So that, plus it being easy to grow, makes it a champ. This guy, well, Panchoy just sits there. I've had him for quite a while, and he does nothing. Look how cute those leaves are. It would be great if he did something, but he doesn't. He just sits and sits and sits. So if you want a Hoya that just sits, this is it. Hoya pandorata has a beautiful shape to it. Long, slender leaves and a beautiful light yellow flower. So I really like this one for Hoya. It seems to be a little bit more sensitive than the other ones. They're native to China, and with that being said, it likes slightly cooler temperatures. My greenhouse gets hot, so we're going to see how this guy responds when it's a super hot day. But I've had him over a year, and he has grown. So it looks like this. So I don't know what I did last summer, but I probably pushed him into the shady part of the greenhouse, and yeah. So you just have to love those long, slender leaves. But I wish he was a little bit more bushy instead of just this one long vine. Hoya parasitica, which is now reclassified as Hoya verticillata, is a Hoya for everybody. I cannot stress how easy to take care of this Hoya is. Oh my god, you almost don't have to do anything to it. It does get stressed by sun and turns this brilliant yellow, love that, but I also love it in the green stage, and it's a very profuse bloomer. It's easy to bloom whether you're in high humidity or not. I don't fertilize it a lot. It is a bushy Hoya. It's not one of those like just single vines here. You see, it's a big plant. So this Hoya is literally for anyone, a collector or a beginner. I love it, and you should grow it. I freaking love the way Hoya passiflora looks. It is such a charming Hoya that is super manageable. It has long, slender leaves, is also a little bushy, more than just a single vine, and it has unique white flowers with a red center. That's really cool. It's native to India, I believe. I have not got it to bloom yet, but I am working on it, believe me. It is such a little charmer that I'm going to read up about it and see what I need to do kind of help it out a bit. May I also just be size. But yeah, this is a rockin' Hoya for visually just the way the leaves look. Cannot say anything bad about it whatsoever. Love it, love it, love it. Hoya Perec teddy bear now has a new name. It is called Hoya peninsularis. Blah, blah. Anyway, this one comes from Malaysia, and I don't necessarily think it's for beginners because it's a little bit hard to grow. It's been finicky. Even though it's growing well for me, I mean, it gets high humidity, lots of water, daily mistings. It's just one of those like you miss a day of anything and it's gonna pout and possibly die. And that's how I lose most of my Hoyas. The finicky ones where it's just like I lose track of them. All of a sudden I just didn't do something in like a day or two, and then it's like, I'm gonna go ahead and die. Well, let's hope this one doesn't. It does have a very distinct kind of like a bell-shaped flower, kind of like a poof on one end with capsules on the other. I really like it. And check out that red in that leaf. When it gets sun-stressed, it's pretty virus-y looking and pretty awesome. So again, if you have the right conditions, I could see that this would be a great challenge for you to be up to, but otherwise it's more just admire it from afar. But yeah, it's interesting even to see how this one goes. We'll see if it's alive 3 years from now, right? Hoya pimentelliana. I wish I could get this one to bloom. It's such a graceful Hoya. The bloom on this is so cool. The entire thing is a bright shade of white with a little bit of yellow and red right in the middle, but not how you would usually envision it. It's kind of like a gardenia flower if you look at it closely, kind of like a gardenia flower, and it smells like a gardenia flower. That's probably why it reminds me of it as well. It's from the Philippines, and it's been an easy grower for me, but it does like very high humidity and can be finicky at times. But otherwise, yeah, very cool. I like the green in the leaves, right? Hoya polystachya. This Hoya is an easy grower, and in low light, what a phenomenal color, dark green. It was pretty easy for me to get the bloom, and as you can see here in highlight, it's this really kind of pale, limey green with a lot of pronounced veining, the typical red gradient in a leaf that I like. Although some leaves are not doing it at all, they just come on maybe as just lime green, but it's like 50-50. And the bloom, there it goes. It's so cute. It's going to be red flowers. And I forget if this one smells or not. It's from Singapore. And I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I can't. Well, we'll just see. Look at that though. I love the shape. pretty big leaf too, so you need a lot of room for this Hoya. It's more of a single vine and less bushy, so you're definitely going to need more space for this one, but it's worth it. It's one of my more favorite Hoyas, that's for sure. And it is very tough and easy to grow, so 2 thumbs up on it. Hoya polyneura has been a pain in my ass, I swear to God. So I got it as a 1-node Hoya, and I grew it out to this perfection. I thought was looking pretty damn good. I mean, very glossy, very nice. This is about 1.5 years worth of growth, and I never had a single issue with it. About 3 months after filming this, because it took me a while to make this video, this plant is completely dead. And I'm pretty sure there was some sort of overwatering issue, and once the plant went in decline, it stayed in decline. So I'm hoping I made a cutting of it. I love the leaf. I mean, it's very cool looking. There's variegated versions of this that are awesome. Never got it to bloom, and I thought it was a really easy Hoya I was going to suggest for everyone to get. But no, if you even think about watering it too much, it will go in decline and never ever come out of it. So I actually think it's kind of a more difficult Hoya to grow. So that's my opinion of it, and I'm sticking with it. Hoya Rebecca, with good reason, is one of my top 5 Hoyas of all time. Small leaves, stunning, beautiful red in the leaves. Small leaves, bushy, easy to bloom, thousands of blooms on it at once. So it's just a barrage on the eyes of color and beauty, and just, it's pretty damn amazing. You can get it to go downhill though. All of a sudden it can be very finicky, and I'm not quite sure why, but I've taken several cuttings, and it's it's gonna make it. But God, look at it here. It is just whoo. And I got this, I think, as a 2-leaf node maybe 4 years ago. So all of this growth is 4 or 5 years old, and I've already made cuttings of it. So yeah, one of my number 1 Hoyas. At the time of this filming, I loved Hoya retusa. I mean, what an interesting, unique, just amazing Hoya. Kind of looks like a grass, right? And it exploded in growth. It took a while. Yeah, I got it as like 1 node, and that was it. It grew out to this. Beautiful. Loved fertilizer. And then all of a sudden something just did not go well with this plant, and it ended up dying. I have 1 cutting left of it. So I love the way the tip of the leaves look. They're really cool. But yeah, this one, I would say it's more difficult because it loves the drier side, but high humidity. When you get it to grow, it just, I mean, look at this. This is less than a year old, and it's fantastic. But it also died within a month of whatever I started to do wrong. I mean, a quick and punishing death. So let's hope my little cutting comes back to look like this. All right. This is my Hoya rigida. Super fragrant. Blossoms. Oh, let's see. That's a beautiful sun-stressed leaf. Like, that is gorge. They're not always like this. Ooh, here's another one. Like, a lot of these just have the normal, when it's in the normal light, normal leaf color. You can tell it has bloomed. multiple peduncles. Ooh, this one was just getting beat up by the city mold, so I will have to take more care of this. But I'm about to give it a major trim because it gets a little bit too overgrown. So let's do that right now. Hoya rigida. I'm like a broken record. I love Hoyas with small leaves, so Hoya rosita is one of those that I love. More compact, more bushy. It doesn't get too obnoxious in its growth pattern, so you can keep it small. But then you get these like purple underside of the leaves, and each individual leaf has a dark purple ridge that goes all over it, and that's amazing. And then it's a profuse bloomer, so the blooms are awesome. It also kind of gets a speckled, splotchy red in the leaf sometimes if it's given a lot of sun. So I love the front of the leaf, the back of the leaves, the blooms, the size. I mean, look at that. I like that kind of virusy red speckled dark purple veiny thing going on. So it also is pretty easy. It can go downhill as well. It all depends on, a lot of factors, but all in all, one of the easier Hoyas to grow. So as a house plant, I don't think you would have any issues. I have issues because of the greenhouse. Looks like this is IML 17. They don't smell. Hoya rubida IML 1711. I need to make a label for him. I need to make a label for it because I don't have it. Well, in the mess, I accidentally tore off all the other blooms, but that's what they would look like. Got some scale problem. You definitely like to drape. You're going to get a major haircut. This is Hoya rotundiflora, and if you don't understand what makes this like the best Hoya ever, then I think you're mentally ill and should probably go check yourself into some sort of asylum. Because look at this cuteness. The leaf shape, so unique. I don't know, looks like those little candies, like a Mike and Ike sort of candy, but just in a Hoya form. And it is so damn cute and not as easy to grow as it looks. I had luck here, but I am having some difficulty getting cutting started because they were finicky. And again, they don't respond to too much or too little water. You got to get this one right on the nose for it to be happy. And then it looks like this, and it's like, yay, I love being alive. And it is one of my favorite Hoyas for the leaf shape. I'm waiting for it to bloom, and I hope it blooms this year. I'll try and remember to film it. But it's just really unique. And it's just, I want to eat it. Nom 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 nom. This is Hoya latifolia, aka Hoya sp Sarawak. It has a couple of different names. One of its nicknames is the dinner plate Hoya due to its leaf size, and it is just one of those magnificent Hoyas. It is a really big leaf, I have to say, and so it's worth growing if you want some sort of like showstopper. The pronounced veins, the size of the leaves, the red, it's just one of those like, wow. So you can go either all lime green or all deep red, depending on how you put it in the light. As you can tell, one side is all red on mine, one side is all green. Kind of shows you how it goes from early morning to late afternoon. But yeah, this is a very cool Hoya I suggested for everyone, and it's an easy grower. So, mwah! You're awesome.
Hoya sigillatus. Also a very, very, very slow grower for me. I had him in the shade and a little bit too wet, so I'm going to repot this one to a much smaller container and with a much better mix. He did take off for a little bit, but now he stopped. So I think it was the shade and probably the warmer temps in the afternoon. This one is hard for me to grow. It doesn't do much. I'm going to pot it into a much smaller pot with a very, very different mix. I mean, it's happy now, but I've had it for a year and a half and maybe one new leaf. So let's see what we can do to get this one a little bit better. Now this one is a disaster. So much so that I'm actually going to take it into the house, cut it down by 75%, and propagate the parts that are still good. So dry, so shaded. I am so sorry. So sorry. But yeah, so not success stories all around. So you're going to get propagated and hopefully survive inside. In fact, let's go do that now. Hoya SP4 from WMZ. I love how compact this Hoya is. I wish I had more that were this compact. So freaking awesome. And I like how red you are. This is one of my rescue missions. I had this guy for over a year and he was doing so well. And then life got busy, he was stuck in the corner. I think he got both overwatered and too much shade. And so yeah, I am definitely trying to resuscitate Hoya ranaensis. And I don't know if it's going to be in time, but fingers crossed. I mean, look how tiny they are. So tiny. This one doesn't have too many water stains because it was growing in the house, and I'm just putting it into the greenhouse now, into a new little tub. And it's gonna go be tucked back there. Grow, little guy, grow. This is one of my most challenging Hoyas, depending on the time of year. It absolutely adores indoor conditions, so it does great there. And in the greenhouse, sometimes it loves it and sometimes it doesn't. One summer it loved it, one summer it didn't, with the same watering conditions. So I say with this one, keep it medium to dry, high humidity. Those are very, very cute leaves though. Hoya sualawesiana. I think I've probably given 10 names for my top 5 Hoyas, but this would be one of them. You cannot beat this Hoya. I got it to bloom, gorgeous blooms, the pink, oh my god, drool worthy, but the leaves, it is a beautiful Hoya even if it never bloomed. I love the thin, long, veiny red. I mean, this color, you know, a lot of my Hoyas luckily are this dark purple and it just makes me drool. There is nothing that I hate about this Hoya, except it is kind of hard to grow. I wouldn't say it's necessarily for beginners, but if you're growing it in the house, you give it just enough water, a little bit higher humidity, and you keep some air circulation around it, then you're probably going to have a pretty good time with it. But higher humidity for sure. But once you get it happy, it stays happy, and OMG. Yeah, it's awesome. This Hoya, and I'm not going to butcher the name, is one of my favorites because, you know, it has these big leaves, and I normally don't like that, but it's a very compact and showy plant. So in low light, the leaves can be really dark green, and then in high light, they can show the typical stress, you know, like other Hoyas show. But it's a slow grower, so a lot of my big leaf Hoyas are fast growers. When you get this one wet, look at that beautiful leathery kind of shiny look. It's pretty, I don't know, magnificent. And you thought I was going to say kind of a basic looking Hoya, didn't you? Because I really like the red ones. Well, I didn't. The flowers are small but showy. They're burgundy tipped and they're yellow. So I haven't got this one to bloom for me yet, but I am on my way. So I really think just in general, I'm trying to remember, this was medium care. It's not too finicky, but it does need that like high humidity, high light, perfect water sort of thing going on. Now check out this. This is the same species I just showed you that I'm not going to say the name of because I don't like the way I say it. Surregaoensis. I got it pretty good. This is EG00897. So it is like a different selection of it, but look how different it is. Unlike the other one, this grows like a beast. This is a fast grower in the same light levels. Look at what it's exhibiting. These kind of wavy pattern ruffled leaves with a lot of red in the interior, pronounced white veining. Oh, look at that wet leaf. My God, that's gorgeous. So yeah, both of these plants are basically the same, and look how different they look, and I grow them side by side. So that's another reason I kind of like these. Just the differences amongst each of these is just really cool. I'm hoping that they'll eventually flower at the same time and I can cross them, because that would be a really cool thing to do with these. I have to learn to pollinate the Hoya though. It's kind of a difficult process. So I have a friend that's gonna come and show me, but yeah, this would be a really cool cross. So this one's super easy. Start with this one because you're not gonna have any issue growing this guy. All right, so here we go into Hoya tangamus or tangamus, depending on how you say it. Mine are doing well, but here's my issue I have with them. I have lots of these, and they all look different from each other in such a way where I'm thinking they're the same species, but some of these lead me to believe, yeah, I don't know. It could be, could maybe not. Somebody's just calling it that and then selling it for $1 million. These are a more expensive Hoya. I don't know if it's because they're newer in the trade or what, but I do really like the leaves. That I love when it's lime green with dark green veining. You see it in Calistophylla and a couple of other ones. It's more of a unique pattern, and this one really likes to show it, and then it adds the red on both new leaves and highly stressed leaves. So, as far as I know, the one that we're looking at right now is the actual Tangamus. But, you know, who knows, right? So, let's see what else we got going on. It's just gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful color. And see, now we go into one of the other ones. So I got it from a different vendor. And look at this one. Would you even know that's the same freaking Hoya? No, I don't think so. Because look at the splash and the red in the leaves. The underside of the leaf is purple. The top of the leaf has this like dark purple veining instead of dark green veining. Then you have all the ovate purple going around the leaf. And then you have this gradient of green to red in there. It's phenomenal. So I absolutely know why all of these look like this. It was too much sun and too little water. All of these were in dry spots and in the topmost part of the greenhouse. So now that the cover is on, they should recover and they should really get their good color back that they had. I caught this one in time. Some of the others may not be as lucky, but for the next month I will be able to hand water everything. So I'll save it. I'll get it back. And this one did fully recover. Here's another one. And to me it's a little bit different because it just has, I don't know, kind of a blend of the other ones. It's a little bit like the first one with green veining. It's a little bit like the second one with purple veining. It's a little bit more viney than some of the other ones, so it's all over the place. But I do like that red. It almost looks like it's super sickly, but even when this one is in perfect health, which it kind of is here, this is what it looks like. This is just the nature of the beast on this one. And I can see kind of why these are more expensive, because once you get them going, they're easy. But starting them out is a little difficult. In all of my cuttings, I'm able to strike like 95% of my cuttings. This one, you just need the exact right conditions, and then you'll get a high rate of strikes. But otherwise, it can be very problematic. But yeah, I love touching these leaves after I spray them down. It's so pretty. All right, we'll go off to the next one. But God, look at that one. Yeah. It has flowered. Here's one of my mini Hoya SPs that are named Tangamus. And I forget if this one is like Red Splash or whatever the hell it is. But I do tell you that it's a whiny little complainy thing. It was dying up on the top, sent out a tendril in the on the bottom.
Yeah, the bottom lives on,
and
so
that's
I will
where it
eventually
lives.
have to tear
It has
him out
not
of this
grown
pot.
in a year and a half. So I think Hoya Thompsonii is really unique. This Hoya has velvety little leaves that kind of feel like a lamb's ear when you pet them. It's really, really an interesting Hoya. For just the leaves alone, you have to spray them down and then touch them, and you'll be like, oh my god, what is this? It's also one of my favorite because it's not, oh, look at those red specks underneath, that's gorgeous. It's not, an overachiever in growth. It's very, very slow to moderate. It has taken a lot of abuse, whether it's too hot, too cold, too dry, too wet, and it stood the test of time. I think though it can get overwatered and succumb to that. So that would be the one thing I would watch out for on this, but it does love high humidity, like very high humidity. I think it's all those little fine hairs. Look at that, just so awesome, right? That's really cool. So this is one of those cool Hoyas. Grow it if you can, because it's just super duper unique. Hoya undulata red. This is probably one of my favorite Hoyas in my collection. I love the color of the leaves. I loved the crinkled edges. I like the backside of the leaves. I like the new growth before it reddens up. So all around, one of my top plants. I think it flowered and I forgot to take photos of the flowers. But man, it doesn't get much better than this. Sheesh. I mean, look at that red. You're gonna go on a medium shelf so that you get intermediate temperatures. What's odd is my other Hoya undulata was a little more finicky. It was kind of problematic. It didn't know what it wanted. I didn't know if it needed less water, more water, higher humidity, lower humidity. And so it was just like pouting. This one's never pouted. This one has said, I like you. I like where I am. I'm going to grow for you. Let's make it happen. And you know what? It is my top Hoya. This one right here. Favorite Hoya. Decision made. Look at the curvate edges on this. Like it's so rough and cool. And then where it wasn't hitting the sun, back of the leaf. This is the Hoya undulata. I guess let's just say it's the regular one that was a little baby for a long time. Like it didn't want to do anything. You notice it's not nearly as striking as the other one, but it does have this cool kind of splash and speckle all around it. It's a little too viney for me, so I'm going to start chopping off some of those tendrils and see what I can do. But I do really like the splash of blood red in there. So that makes it unique. And then see the pink specks everywhere, kind of like I would just call it like hot pink, bright pink specks everywhere. It's almost like what's that lotion they used to put on your skin for itching, like calamine or something? It's like somebody just took a bunch of calamine lotion and speckled it everywhere. And then you have those dark speckles as well. And I can't remember if they're on the back of the leaves as well, but I think they're pronounced, kind of everywhere. Oh, look at the splash on that red leaf. Ah, yeah, so the splash is consistent. Oh, and I have a bloom! That's right, yay! But I remember to film you whenever you're open, because otherwise that's stupid. Oh, and another one. But I have a feeling I'll probably be stupid and forget that you're even there, and then I'll be like, oh my god, why didn't I film you? But this is Hoya undulata, just the regular one. This is Hoya verticillata, otherwise known as parasitica, and both of them. On this one I actually had a bloom, but I forgot to take photos when it was in its glory. This is a spent bloom, so this is like on the tail end when everything's falling off. I think this one had a scent to it, but it does look different than my other one that came to me as parasitica versus verticillata. I know they're the same, but just like we've been saying this whole tour, they have a lot of different features that vary. So this one isn't as compact and clumpy, longer leaves, has a big splash to it. So anyway, it's just kind of more of a plain Jane Hoya, but really easy to grow. Really, really easy. So I
say it's a good beginner Hoya. Hoya viola, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. Dang nabbit, you hot! I like this one because you get a little bit of everything. You get medium-sized leaves, but then you get that bright, almost lemony yellow leaf color when it's in very bright light, but you get a lot of pinks and reds thrown in. You get the pronounced veining. You get a bushy plant that's not too obnoxious in the growth. You get some pink. There you go. There's like that pink kind of, I don't know. It's just a weird color. It's hard to even explain. But I like this plant because it doesn't go too nuts. It is robust, so you're going to get a full plant without a lot of effort, and it's not going to take over your house. It does great in the greenhouse. It does dry out to the bone. There's a bloom even right there. I wouldn't say it loves drying out to the bone. It tolerates drying out to the bone. So that's kind of the best I could describe this one. But this is kind of a must for someone that wants an easy growing Hoya that has some fantastic features to it. Hoya vitellinoides. I'm not going to say that I am embarrassed of this one, but maybe a little embarrassed because I let it get too sun stressed, so it's really showing some fatigue here. Like the leaves, oh, look at those serrated edges. I like those. But it shouldn't be this lime green with dark green thrown in. It should be kind of all that medium green. It'll recover, but it's a great Hoya. I really like the leaf veining stays pronounced, and each leaf has a little bit of a different shape. So yeah, I like this one. It's kind of a classic Hoya with lots of interest.
Here's a disaster story. This used to be one of the biggest Hoyas in my collection. It literally took up maybe a 5x6 space, and it was covered in other Hoyas, and either it got underwatered, overwatered, whatever. I come back and this is the only remaining alive piece of the entire thing, so I have to regrow it from scratch. What a tragedy. It's never bloomed for me. It's one of the hardest Hoyas to get the bloom as well, because I don't know what it needs. When it was grand, it was grand. I'll see if I have some other video or photos of it. But we're going to try it again.
All right, well, that's it for now. Thank you for joining me. That was a lot of Hoyas. It's been a while, just a few months since I began that video, and I'm just trying to maintain. These guys take a lot of effort because there's so many of them and they go everywhere. I have to save a few, to be honest. But thank you. I hope you like the video. Please subscribe and like this video. Subscribing and sharing this with your friends helps a tiny little bitty channel like me more than you can know. It helps YouTube know, hey, I like this. So stay tuned. I'll bring you more of the Hoya updates in the future. All right.